Badass Records podcast, welcoming you in for another episode, and I am elated to share with you that this week's guest is none other than Jocelyn Olivia Nixon. You can find her stuff on Instagram at JosNix26, that's JOCNIX, and her outfit, The Creepy Jingles, has an Instagram handle as well. It's at The Creepy Jingles. They have 4 singles and a brand new full-length LP, Washed Up, on Bandcamp and Where You Stream, and Jocelyn has some solo material on Bandcamp as well, so be sure to check out all of those places and keep your ears peeled for even newer Creepy Jingles material coming out later this year. Episodes of this podcast air Thursdays more often than not. You can consume it on YouTube via the website, which is badassrecordspodcast.com, or stream it where you download your podcasts and music. The Instagram handle for the podcast is at Badass Records Podcast. I do believe that's all I've got for you this week. Appreciate you stopping by. Hope you enjoy the show. I believe this will be episode 215 of Badass Records podcast. Jocelyn Olivia welcome.
Nixon.
Yeah. Sorry.
You're good.
I cut you off. I must have been thinking about the stupid Broncos quarterback, Bo Nix.
Bo Nix. Yeah. Friend of the family.
Right.
No.
Okay, so Jocelyn Olivia Nixon at JOCNIX26.
Yeah,
on Instagram.
JosNix26.
JosNix26, and then at The Creepy Jingles on Instagram. Singer-songwriter, appreciate you being here.
Thanks for having me.
The Bandcamp has 4 singles and a month old almost to the date.
Yep.
Full-length release, Washed Up. Congratulations.
Thank you
on that. Super cool. I believe it was the Bandcamp that said KC-based Blue Ribbon Poetic Pop Misfits.
Yeah, that's apt.
Is that you?
Yeah, that's me.
What? How did the Blue Ribbon work its way in there?
I was just thinking about barbecue.
Okay. Are you a fan of barbecue?
I like barbecue.
Okay.
I wouldn't say I'm like a mega fan or anything, but I was just having fun with a little tagline.
Okay.
And then I was thinking about what makes Kansas City, barbecue. You know, we've had some critical acclaim. We're not famous by any stretch of the imagination, but we've had some critical acclaim. I was like, maybe we're Blue Ribbon.
Nice. Yeah. So Washed Up is a month old. Congrats on that.
Thank you.
Tell me about your writing process for the singles.
Okay.
And I think the oldest one is a couple years old on the Bandcamp.
As far as being released?
Yeah.
So the singles, the 4 songs, were recorded in 2023.
Okay.
I think I started writing them at the end of 2022. And then Wills joined the band in February of 2023. When he joined the band, I was like, oh, we're a band again, because we lost a guitar player before that. And anytime I'm going into a new lineup, I want to write new music. So we all kind of start at ground zero and we bond together and we kind of come up together. But there was Manor Fest that summer that we had booked. And I was like, I'm going to write a whole new record just to challenge myself. I'd never done that. And I was like, how, because I would write when I'd want to write. And I kind of wanted to be like, I want this to be different than the last thing. How do I do that? New members, I might as well challenge myself to write this. So I had little biddies lying around in like November. And then when February rolled around, it was like, just finished all the songs and wrote all the lyrics and was like, here, they're all done. Let's all learn them. And then we played that show. And then it was like getting into the studio that fall. And we recorded those 4 singles. Love Like You, When Things Go Wrong, Repeat After Me, and Vow Down. Vow Down didn't come out till, I think, April of this year. But we released those singles during 2024 because I thought, it's going to be out in 2025, but we ran into obstacles with money. Nick left the group because he just didn't have time. He was starting his own business in Shawnee, Current State Coffee, and he just opened in June. And Will's moved to Portland, and he's a songwriter, and he's always doing different projects. So I knew that wasn't his main thing. And then we just ran into this wall of like, oh, we don't have enough money to get these mastered. And I didn't really want to just a whimper on like putting it out. So I was like, I held it back and waited for things to kind of come together. And in that year, I started releasing solo songs in 2025, released a couple solo songs. And
do you have your own?
Yeah.
Bandcamp?
Yeah.
What is it?
It's just Jocelyn Nixon.
Okay.
Yeah. I released a song called If You Ain't Right, You Must Be Wrong. And also Real Deal. I released those between, I think, February and April of 2025. And then going into this year, we just wrapped up recording an album that's going to come out at the end of August, or 6 songs that are going to come out at the end of August with the new Creepy Jingles lineup.
So the 4 singles that are on the Creepy Jingles Bandcamp, you wrote all in a relatively close time proximity?
They were all written kind of around the same time. The only song that wasn't written during those times was Vow Down, which was written like when I lived in Austin.
Okay.
In like 2011 or something. So that song I just kind of hung around, and I came up with the name The Creepy Jingles in 2011. My friend had just posted about this the other day, but he drew a chalk outline of a body, and we put a cigarette in his mouth, or just like it was sitting there, and then a cat happened to walk by in the shot, and I just had always thought about those names, and the Creepy Jingles thing kind of came together because I was an English major, and I remember cellar door are the 2 most beautiful words put together. And I just wanted to put 2 random words together that sounded
cellar
nice.
Door?
That's what they say.
Like basement?
Yeah, I guess so. Cellar door are 2 English words that were supposedly some of the most beautiful words put together. And I was thinking about that exercise and thinking, I had a band called English Major, and great name.
Yeah.
But also it's like in the the age of the internet, like if you try to search for English Major, you're not going to get seen.
No.
And I didn't put 2 and 2 together because, internet was still like cooking, it was still like relative. It was still the old West, you could still blow up out of nowhere without having to spend a bunch of money and try to get the algorithm on your side. So I started to go, okay, love that name, but that's not all it. So when I was thinking about, I had this name, The Creepy Jingles, because I just like the 2 words together. I also like it was like a B horror film, kind of like a Halloween Christmas thing. And our music is not scary, but we get lumped into that. It's funny when lazy bookers are like, oh, we're going to put you with the spookies. But I put these 2 words together, and then I was like, it was always in the back of my mind. And during that time, I wrote a song called Vow Down, and that was the song that kind of lasted the longest. When I had this new group of songs, I thought, what do I have laying around that fits well tonally with what I have? And I always liked that song. I hadn't done anything with it, so I was like, okay, let's put Vow Down. And that was the oldest song. Everything else was kind of written in that November of 2022 to February of 2023.
Did you ever come across why cellar door was this?
No.
Okay.
I accepted it blindly, like an American student.
Now you said this chalk outline of this person, a cigarette, and a cat, and you said I was thinking about those words.
Yeah.
What words?
I was thinking about the cellar door thing.
Oh, okay.
And I was thinking about how English Major wasn't
okay.
I wasn't able to like find any search. So I was like, I need something that's original, but also I like the sound of it together. Yeah. And it was more just I like the way that sounds. Creepy Jingles.
Funny. That's Brian. I asked Brian, and he said, you'll have to get the real meat and potatoes from Jocelyn, but if I remember correctly, just thought it was a cool name.
Yeah, kind of.
And I go, so I'm going, have you like been driving around with a radio playing and you heard a creepy jingle? Like, what?
No, but when I was younger, I did want to grow up to write commercial jingles.
Oh, funny.
So maybe that's where the word jingle kind of popped into my head. And then creepy, I just thought I just liked the 2 words together. It didn't mean anything whatsoever. Yeah. But I always kind of thought like the best band names were kind of arbitrary until like you get into the music. and then the music sort of, establishes what, the band is. You kind of have a different idea.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck does Aerosmith mean?
I I had a huge pocket in my youth of being a diehard Aerosmith fan. I haven't known the answer to that.
Oh, okay.
But I can't recall. I mean, there's a novel but it's spelled Arrow, like
Okay.
Bow and Aerosmith.
Okay.
I don't know if it came from that or what, but that was one of the, the weird denim-y thread material on the outside of your 3-ring binder. And middle school, I would always draw the Aerosmith and the Van Halen. And
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, so writing. Are you a person that starts with lyrics and then adds music? Does it happen the opposite way?
Different ways. I mean,
Okay.
I would say the majority of the time I am writing like a melody, and I'm just blocking out chords or something, or it's usually I'm blocking out chords and I'm just looking for something, and then a kind of a melody forms, and then I will write the lyrics. So I have a better idea of sort of sound symmetry of what I'm working for. Like, do I need a 1-3 line, a 2-4 rhyme? So I kind of have an idea of what the song is after I can kind of block out what the melody is. And the melody usually comes after the chords, and then usually the lyrics are easier to fit into the melody to have a cohesive melody. Words kind of come easy to me.
Okay.
I didn't really start playing music until I was 22, but I was always a singer and a writer. Like, I won several writing competitions through school, and I was an all-state singer in high school and in junior high and stuff. And then when it came to college, it was kind of like I was an English major, but I
Where
started
was college?
SMS,
Okay.
or Missouri State University now,
Yeah.
I believe.
Yeah.
In Springfield, and I thought I was going to major in like business and marketing, and then they offered me a creative writing scholarship, and then.
Wow.
And then I did not take the scholarship.
Oh,
I
shit.
actually was driving home every weekend back to Blue Springs to work at a restaurant because I couldn't find a job in Springfield.
Really?
Yeah, couldn't find a job in Springfield. I looked for months, and I was just like, yeah, maybe I should not go to school. I was
Okay.
like, I kind of knew during that time, I was like, I want to be a songwriter because it was like the best thing for me to do. It was like, I know that didn't make money necessarily, but I was already making money. I had to make money, and I was thinking, oh man, this probably cost my parents a lot of money. I felt guilty not knowing where I was going in the education system.
Yeah.
Even if I have a scholarship, does a writing degree really get me anywhere? What really gets me anywhere is, real world application of like work. So I was like, maybe I should focus on just writing songs and making money. And it was just sort of the perfect storm of, I always grew up wanting to be a performer. I was like a funny kid, and I loved writing. I loved singing. And then I was like, what if I put this all together? This seems kind of like the perfect venture for me. So that's sort of what got me into, got the hook. So when I was around like 22, I started writing my own songs and learning. I learned guitar first, taught myself. I had like a couple guitar lessons. And then I learned all my songs out of like a Easy Beatles guitar book.
Cool.
And so a lot of my chords are, burned in my brain from that book. And
Are you on an acoustic or are you on an electric?
I was learning on an acoustic at
Okay.
the time, yeah. And I was always an acoustic player when I was younger. And then it was just sort of, okay, learn the guitar. Then a few years later, I was married, and my ex-wife got me a piano. And
Actually?
got me a piano. Surprised me. I came home to a grand piano.
Where are you hiding?
I don't even know how they pulled it off, but she had this waiting for me at home, and I walked in and I was like stunned. It was amazing surprise because I'd wanted a piano, and I taught myself piano just from it there, just kind of blocking out like triads
What
and
is
learning
this blocking
keys.
out chords business? What does that mean? Pardon my ignorance.
Fine. No. It was we just probably you're talking the same thing. You're thinking the same thing. It's just putting my hands down on the keyboard or on guitar. It's either I write on guitar or I write on piano, and usually whichever instrument I write the song in is how it's usually presented in the recording. So if you hear like a more of a piano track, it's because I wrote it on piano. If you hear
Okay.
more of a guitar track, it's because I wrote it on
I didn't
guitar.
know if that meant like you're challenging yourself to not use particular chords, or you're
I
like,
don't have any sort of plan going in. I'm just like letting I'm moving my hands and trying to find something like, oh, those two nice together. Where would I go from there? Oh, that's nice, you know? So it's just more of finding, and sometimes just the two chords will open up. I'll figure out the whole melody from there.
Okay.
It's like writing. Sometimes I can auto write the first 3 lines of a song. And it's like, okay, as long as 2 and 4 rhyme, I'm good. I guess I'm very particular with my words. So I like a 1-3 and a 2-4. So if I can sort of write stream of conscious on that first 3 lines, then I can kind of set back and was like, what's the 4th line? 4th line is like solving the puzzle.
okay.
So
Always a rhyming scheme.
yeah.
Okay.
Typically, because again, that's why I started to go more towards writing melodies first, because it's like I can write something uber poetic and not rhyme, but we're in a business where we're selling melodies and sound is really important. I think it's harder to make a great lyric stand up on its own when you're also trying to rhyme. I think some people are like, it's more freeing to be able to write without rhyming lyrics, but I think it's much harder in a pop sense for me to say something clever and still rhyme and for it to make sense.
Yeah. Now, if I'm understanding correctly, chorus / refrain is coming first and then verses, or no?
No rules.
No
I mean,
rules.
sometimes I don't go into it with like, okay, I'm going to work on a verse. I'm going to work on a chorus. I'm even going to work on a song. Sometimes I just start playing old things that I have sitting around. That, oh, I haven't thought about that for a while. Sometimes I end up building off that because some kids take longer to grow up and mature. And that's how I approach songs. I mean, I've had songs that I hadn't put out for 10 years, and I have songs that I wrote 2 days ago, and then I'm in the studio. And I love to be more in step with my audience. And as I have more resources and great friends and talented people around me, it's easier for me to go in the studio and get in step with the creation process and breathing in step with my audience. As I'm making it, I'm getting it to my audience versus like holding on to it for 2 years,
Right.
and then not identifying with it at all. So I try not to put any sort of parameters on myself. I just sort of sit there and I play, and I try to have fun, and I want to sort of discover it. You know, I want to sort of let it take me on a journey, and sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes I just sit there and dick off, and you know, like I'm geeked out or whatever.
Right.
And I'm just entertaining myself. Like I sit down and start playing cover songs.
Oh, cool.
Or I'll start learning something and be like, oh, I like those combos of the chords. And then I've always been distracted. I've always could have been a better player, a better guitar player, or a better piano. I'm not a competent, solid guitar player and solid piano player, but I always could have been better, but I was always distracted. As soon as I learned a new trick, I'd have to write 5 songs around that trick because I'd get caught up in, that was the part that was fun about making music for me. It was putting my own stamp on it.
Cool.
Yeah.
So this notion of, my easiest example is, well, by the way, one of the reasons why I had to appear, the first time I had to appear in the legal system was student loans. And I, at some point, merged grad and undergrad, and grad was a creative writing degree, and was able to, in one chapter of life, sort of throw some money at it, and then I wasn't. And I just like dealt with this ugly gal who was just so mean until I literally had no more means to give anything, and so I still can't find the tab on the internet where the creative writing jobs are. I know it's
They don't exist.
Yeah, exactly,
That's
exactly.
I don't think it's a lack of you trying.
So in undergrad, I'm on the newspaper staff and have stayed good friends with a couple of dudes. One was a managing editor and one was the editor-in-chief. And afterwards, we started a blog project and we were writing.
That's
and
cool.
It was a lot of fun until, for them, the chore joy scale tilted too far in the wrong direction.
Right.
And so, and whatever, it was fun while it lasted. You write this batch of singles, and then here I'm gonna put out a full length, washed up, right?
Yeah. All the songs were kind of written in the same
Okay.
together, but we had so much money, so we're like, okay, let's go in and record the ones that we are pretty sure are the singles, and then I wanted to do something different than the regular release, because every single time we do this, it's an opportunity for me to take chances and do it differently than the way that we did it before. And with the music business, nothing seems to be really working. I mean, there's huge bands that are going out there and losing money on the road. So it's like the yardsticks always sort of change. The goalposts are always changing.
Yeah.
What works and what doesn't work. And I was like, I'm just going to start throwing pan at the wall and trying different things. So it was like, all right, let's slow release these singles out to have something out versus like holding on to it and hoping that it works the 1 month, that you get attention. You're lucky to get 3 months attention out of a record if it does well. So I was like, I'd rather scatter it out throughout the year so we have something to share. And it also bought us time to be able to have more money to go back in the studio and finish the record. But once you've already written the songs and you have to wait on that process and you're kind of hampered by the financial issue, I mean, that was the biggest drag of making the record, was having to break it up over the course of
Well, that's why I was
4
curious,
months. Or,
like, outside looking in with
Yeah.
no real knowledge on how the thing goes. You look at here's a single, and you think about writing the song and recording the song and mixing and mastering and then putting it out there for the world. And then you look at an album, and it feels like all of the investment pieces, the writing, the recording, the mixing, all of it is a bigger, it's a longer period of time, more energy because there's more material.
Oh, yeah.
So I was curious if in moving from the singles world to the full length, did that chore joy thing get wonky at all, or was it joyful all the way across the process?
It was always joyful making the music
Okay.
with the guys. The frustrating thing for me is I'm just very passionate, intense. When I get to working on certain things, like, I'm locked in. I want to be taken out of it. And, we were hampered by like financial things and everybody's scheduling. So when we were actually making the music, it was fun. I loved working with Paul Milanowski of Massive Sound Studios and Shawnee, who recorded it. And I love working with the guys. They're all super talented musicians and friends of mine. But it was all the external things of having the money to do it and then waiting 4 months to come back to it. But in regards to your question, it was already kind of decided that it was going to be a record. It just took longer, and we were trying different things as far as what would work and what didn't work. And I'm glad that we put the singles out when we did. They seemed to get good attention from, like The Bridge and I Heart Local Music. And that kept us going and playing great shows. But it was always the plan to make that record. So when Wills and Nick left the band because of their own personal ventures, as they shouldn't be attached to me because they're both very talented and smart individuals with their own plans. They left. I had to sort of pivot and figure out what I was going to do next. That's why I was like, I'm going to do solo songs, but I'm going to approach it differently than the Jingles. Because I kind of booked myself into a corner of saying, like, Jingles, we're going to make records. I want to make pop records, And with solo stuff, nobody really knows me. I can do anything. So I could, like, do folk songs, or I could do more lyrical-driven songs, which is really the kind of stuff that gets me off, and the weird shit that the other guys didn't want to do. I could start to go, I'm only going to put out singles, solo artist, only play shows when people ask me. I never go out looking for solo shows. Somebody asks me, great, I'll do it. And then I'm only going to put out singles. I have no plans to put out a Jocelyn Nixon solo record because I love having the freedom to not stress. I just want to make music when it's easy and then put my effort into the Jingles as like my main project and when I really get behind, the promotion, the machine of it. But I wanted something that still allowed me to be an artist and not get sucked into the business aspect of it, which we're kind of locked into with the jingles, because it's bigger than me.
Do the jingles have to look for shows, or do shows find you?
Most shows find us. I don't think I've had to really go out of, unless I'm booking for a release show.
Right.
I'm more taking the reins in those sort of situations. But otherwise, like, blessed to know a lot of cool, great musicians that are like, hey, we like you guys want to play? And we're like, yeah, obviously, that sounds fun. So that's been much easier establishing your name as a band like that and people knowing you and reaching out. But like nobody typically goes out of their way to book me as a solo artist. If other songwriters ask me, I play it. But I've created these two little systems that work independently of each other, but are also very sort of polar opposite in their approaches. And I kind of love that. And it sort of worked for me over the and making those solo songs really freed me up to write new songs for when the new members came into the jingles.
Sure.
And,
I was talking to Brian briefly about the pressure, if you will, of joining an already established outfit and learning the material.
Yeah.
And then he talked about having this experience with both you and Major Matt, Mason USA, and sort of I have the chops, I have the ability, I know the material, but I got to figure out like how does the way that I do this
how he fits into
make you
the system.
happy. And he, I think if I recall correctly, the arc for Major Matt was a little lengthier because he was sort of, square hole round peg for a but then with you, I believe he said that it was super easy because you are, as you said, locked in and sort of have a vision. And he said it happened much quicker. So I thought that was really interesting. And then not long after, maybe right when we started messaging, I looked at, now I can't remember if it was your Instagram or the Creepy Jingles, but I think it's still the top post.
Okay.
And it's the POV is like at the piano.
Yeah.
And it's
jingles.
Minute and a half, 2-minute clip.
Yeah.
And it's, I've seen a decent number of clips from folks around the region and all shapes and sizes and range of quality and interest and so on and so forth. But I was like, holy shit, because it really felt like exactly what he spoke to, which was locked in. I know exactly how I want to deliver this performance, and it felt like the energy was coming from the other direction too.
Yeah.
Like you and the audience were on the same wavelength.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow. Like it was just
thank you.
super impressive.
That's very nice of you to say. I mean, that to me is how, like that video shot. My friend Drew was just sitting there at the release show, and I forgot he was even on the couch, and I went to the piano.
Oh, really?
And I didn't even realize he was recording a video.
Okay.
I felt like, because my back was turned to the audience when I was playing piano,
Yes.
I felt like I was just at home.
That's
That's
wild.
how I write the song.
I had it in my head that you had posted a phone on a tripod or something and hit record. And
Well, I don't know which one you're talking
Well,
about.
I think
So
we're talking about
if
this-
it's the most recent
Yeah.
post, it would be the jingles thing from our album release
Okay.
at Greenwood Social Hall.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
nice.
Yeah. They have a piano, and Calvin. I was like, Calvin, do you have a piano? He's like, I do have a piano. I was like, oh fuck, I want to play that.
Nice.
So yeah, I was really excited to get to sit down and play.
He's been posting. They're kind of in the home stretch of raising funds to do a renovation of sorts, and they're.
I think he's raised half the money, and we hope he raises the rest of it.
Yeah.
I think he would be a good curator for the space. I mean, he has been, and Kansas City needs more great venues, and they have a really interesting, cool space that has its own vibe and obviously a lot of history for the community. And I can't think of anybody else that'd be more passionate or better suited to be able to do that than Calvin.
If we were talking before we were rolling about Patrick Spray from Center Cut Records, and he's somewhere over there in the 60s or something like that, and he gave me a whole bunch. There he is, 77. he said, "Here's some folks that you should reach out to," and I think the record they made with Calvin was still kind of fresh in the brain, at least, and so he was one of the first names he mentioned, and that was 3 years ago that Patrick was here, and a couple of different times I've DM'd Calvin, and he's and then and I don't want to pester somebody, but if you see him,
Okay,
you want to say, hey, but
I'm sure he'd love to come in.
Yeah. I think he's probably got a relatively full plate, and so you want to not be too annoying. But I just thought that was really cool. That vibe, that vision from that clip, and you kind of already answered my next question, which was about being locked in. Brian said it, then all of a sudden I saw it. You have said it. Have you ever had a pocket early in your performing days where you had anxiety or stage fright or?
Yeah, I mean, I still have sort of a weak stomach. So like there are times where like I will puke right before I go on stage.
Okay.
And like a lot of people don't know, but like I will I there was one point, I don't know if it was like 2018 or 2019. I'd been doing this long enough and I thought like I'm tired of letting the nerves get to me, because when I start to feel the butterflies, my thought process is I can let this roll me over and take me on whatever ride it wants me to, or I can use this for energy. And I sort of view negative reaction and positive reaction the same way. It's just energy for me to be able to alchemize and transmute for whatever I'm looking to use it for. So when I have those nerves, I could be like, oh, I could let this beat me down, or I can go, I'm fucking hyped. Let's get it. Yeah, I'm going to use this energy to like carry me through the performance. And once I sort of like rationalized that, it became much easier. But it's been 20 something years of me learning my craft and working towards my craft to really get to the point over the last, I don't know, probably the last like 5 years or so, where I've really started to feel very at home and finding my voice for who I am as a songwriter and a singer, and not wanting to sound like everybody. I mean, obviously I'm influenced by people, but I feel like I've really found my voice and know who I am as a person. And that was because of going through the hard things through like divorce and transition and bankruptcy. Sure. All that kind of shit teaches you
so much
to
fun.
Teaches you to like fucking figure out who you are. And through that process of being, beat down, and you're sort of distilled and concentrated into the thing that you are, it started to become just easy and okay to be who I am. And it's also a gift to be able to work with incredible musicians. So like, I mean, everybody that I've played with has been so talented. So like, I want to give my props to them, because they make my job easy to just bring a song. Like I'm just bringing the song, and I just got to make sure that we get to where we need to be.
Right.
But also it makes it easier. Like I was saying, if I were to just stick Brian with 10 songs, old songs that Nick played on, Nick Robertson, then like that would have been shitty, because it's like I'm already telling you to be like Nick. I don't want to be that. I want him to feel the freedom that I have as an artist every time I'm sitting down at the piano or guitar to be a songwriter. It's like, I want you to be able to be you in this group. I want you to know that you are, you bring an important thing, and I want you to be able to find your place in this group. And it doesn't help giving them something that's already established. So I always feel a responsibility if new people come in to write new material, so we can all start at ground zero together and build up from there, because I was saying, you're making food together, the meal's going to be better.
Right.
Yeah. I just think that it's like, those are the times that you're really cutting your teeth and you're growing as a band, is when you're developing those arrangements and everything together.
Cool.
So yeah, I mean, it's easy to work with them because they're fantastic musicians.
Nice.
And it makes my job easy. So
I love, I've said it on, or it's been said on here a bunch. I love the idea of in that space where there could be nerves or anxiety or stage fright or whatever, pausing. Not that I do it, I'm just speaking to it. To recall that more often than not, we are our own worst critics. And if you know, play a wrong note or miss a change or whatever, like, as long as you don't draw attention to it, most folks probably don't even know.
Yeah, they haven't heard the song 5,000 times like you have, you know. They don't know how it goes, so, and they probably won't pick up on that. But if you're like, oh, made a mistake, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, there's that thing in I don't know if you remember the documentary Dig with the Brian Jonestown Massacre and the Dandy Warhols. It was like, you know, they're two different bands that were in the 90s, and they kind of both went different directions. Really great rock doc. And there's a piece in there that I forget. I think it was Courtney Taylor, but if it's good, it's fun, and if it's bad, it's funny.
Huh.
And I always like took that to heart because it can't always be perfect.
Right.
I mean, like we talk about whoopsies. You know, there's a difference between being prepared and then, you know, making a stupid mistake, where sometimes I'll be so caught up in watching what Joseph or Andrew or whoever's doing that I'm like geeking out on what they're doing. And I'm like, oh shit, I forgot the words. I forgot that, like, what chord I'm on, because once I start to like look at the audience, then I start like get off track. So I think there is room for that to happen, but yeah, I think it's more just be cool and enjoy it.
Yeah.
And also, when people laugh off mistakes, I think it's a lot more human.
Oh my God, absolutely.
You know, it's almost more endearing. Like, oh God, they're not perfect.
Yeah.
And this artist that I really admire is just a person. You know, because that's all we are. Nobody's more important than anybody else. We all just work towards our own individual goals in life, and some people get lucky, and
I've you know, for many years been I'm a jam band dork. Fish is my favorite, and I've seen them a million times.
You love Ander.
You know, Trey has made many mistakes on stage. He always laughs. There's always a crowd roar. They love it.
Yeah.
Because they recognize it, and I think there's some weird level of appreciation of, like, you know, the material well enough as a fan that you recognize the mistake.
Yeah.
And then, of course, he recognizes it. He laughs, and it's just like, it's sort of a collective goosebumps fun vibe. But
Absolutely.
You mentioned Blue Springs. Are you born and raised there?
I was born and raised in Blue Springs. I for most of my time, and then I moved to Kansas City when I was a young adult.
Okay.
And it was like in like the Westport area. It was my first like real apartment. But yeah.
Okay.
Born and raised in Blue Springs, Missouri.
Siblings?
I have one sibling
Okay.
who's 2 years younger than me.
Okay.
His name's Jacob.
Shouts out to firstborns.
Yeah. Paint the blood on your door.
That's
would
right.
you?
That's right.
The goat's blood. And no, Jacob's great. He's super smart. He's married to a beautiful woman named Lisa, and I have two nephews who are autistic. And
Really?
Yeah, they're both very different personalities.
Wow.
The oldest is more nonverbal than the youngest, but you know, they're both teachers, and they both have just amazing hearts. And and you go, wow, that's a hard thing for most people, but it's like the people that could actually like be great parents like wound up with like the kids that like needed, you know, that extra love and attention, and like they're great parents. My brother, I admire my brother a lot for the kind of dad that he is. And,
nice.
Yeah, really good kids.
Any idea how your folks' paths initially crossed?
I think they met in Blue Springs.
Really?
I do know this story. They met at a gas station back when you pumped gas. They had a gas station attendant to pump gas.
Yeah.
My dad pumped my mom's gas.
Oh.
Sexual innuendo. You know, kind of right there. But
you want me to fill her up?
Yeah. 9 months later, I was born.
Shall I put the good stuff in there?
Premium.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they met, I think it was a Sinclair gas station,
Okay.
from what I imagine.
The old green dinosaur.
Yep, green dino.
I was in Oregon and Washington in the early mid 90s, and you were not allowed to pump your own gas back then because they wanted that to continue to be a job.
Yeah.
That people could have. And
But it kind of would be great.
yeah, I mean,
I don't want to get out of my car.
Yeah, exactly. And it's why, we're not really too terribly far removed from where the person would come out to do that, and they could look at a couple things under the hood for you while, hey, would you look at my da da da? And oh yeah, sure. And it's like that shit is gone.
Yeah,
know what I mean?
you don't see too many bathroom attendants either.
Right.
I kind of would think that would be a fun job. Because you just kind of stand there, and then people are like, "Here, you want paper towels?" Like, I could totally get the paper towel myself, but they're
Yeah.
like, then you feel guilty.
That's
so
the
even
thing.
if I don't take anything from when there's a bathroom attendant, I always feel the need to like tip because it's like,
see that
you
was
have to
my the world of POS systems where it's like, hey, this is gonna your transaction. This is gonna ask you a few questions.
Yeah.
It's gonna ask me one, and it's how much money extra do I want to give you?
Yeah.
And this is not a traditionally a tipped position, so I don't.
Yeah.
I'm also like, dude,
I know you're getting paid hourly, but
Don't-
the company
please-
doesn't want to
please
pay
don't offer me cologne or a mint because I don't.
Yeah, you don't want to feel obligated
Yeah.
into then.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't know I was going to have to spend money to take a shit,
Also, I wasn't expecting for somebody to be in the room for the duration of said shit.
Yeah.
Like,
That's embarrassing.
Yeah.
Like, because what if you got bubble guts
Yeah.
and you're going in there
Yeah.
and you're like, you got to worry about that'd probably be the worst part about being the bathroom attendant is having to just like eat people's second harvest,
so when mom and dad are raising you and Jacob, is it? Are they putting on music in the home to listen to?
My dad, this is funny. When I was a kid, like maybe like kindergarten or something, like I watched Nick at Night.
Okay.
So I was a big Monkees fan.
Okay.
And I loved, hey, we're the Monkees, Davy Jones, Mikey, all those guys. And I was I was all into it. And I went through a little phase where they got me the cassette tape and, listened to Daydream Believer
Nice.
and Stepping Stone and all those great songs. Didn't know that they didn't write their own songs. I didn't know Neil Diamond was writing some of those songs.
Is that true?
Yeah,
I
very
didn't
true.
know that
Yeah,
either.
Yeah. Mike Nesmith ended up writing a lot of some of the later hits and stuff like that. But like the early band, and I didn't know it was a knockoff, kind of the Beatles. But my dad, when my dad had a sore throat, he would go to the liquor store. He'd be like, I've got to get some beer. I've got a sore throat. That's what he told me, is he had a sore throat. So he went to the liquor store, and I went with him one time, and he was going in, and he had the cassette tape of Magical Mystery Tour, and he had smartened me up. I'm like 6 or 7, and I'm into happy-go-lucky Monkees music, really commercial. And he's like, yeah, just so you know, the band that you like is basically a ripoff of This Is the Real Band. And then he plays me Magical Mystery Tour, which is a wild starting place for the Beatles when you're a kid and you're just hearing the Monkees. And I just heard Strawberry Fields, and it just floored me. It was so alien, and it kind of scared the shit out of me when I first heard it. And I remember sitting in that car in front of that liquor store hearing it for the first time, and I was like, oh, wow. This is weird. I'm kind of scared of it. What is all this? And then I didn't really get into the Beatles until maybe right after high school.
Okay.
And then when I got into when I got into the Beatles, it was started smoking pot and listening to Rubber Soul and Help and stuff like that. And it became a pretty big influence on me. And before I even became a songwriter, I was kind of floored.
I'm gonna do my best to recall the nut and bolt of this, but there's a million different YouTube interviews with Frank Zappa you could find, who I adore.
Yeah.
But there's one in particular where he's being asked about the Beatles, and you can tell that he's sort of been waiting for the opportunity to trash them a little bit, and it's because of the hype and the merch and all the stuff that was born out of the insane heyday of them. And he says, he has this line where he says, I'm not really like the biggest fan of the Beatles. I prefer the music of the Monkees.
Yeah.
And I've always like,
Yeah.
for years I've been like, do you mean that?
Yeah.
And I'm sure that there's some truth to it, but what a weird, I didn't know that they were A, not writing their own music, and B, ripping off, for lack of a better phrase, the Beatles.
Yeah, it was like American TV wanted, or was it made in England? I don't know where the Monkey was produced, but it was an attempt to try to piggyback off that success.
Wow.
It was like, when Ninja Turtles came out, it was a huge property when I was a kid, and then it was like, oh, we've got to capitalize on this. Let's put out Battletoads, and and then there was the shark one, and then it was just like, it kind of felt like the machine trying to catch off of this hype that the Beatles had when they first were coming into these states. And yeah, it's interesting.
So they gave you a Monkees tape?
I asked for the Monkees
after
tape.
hearing
It was I forget what the name of the record one is. It's the one that they're all like standing on like a stairwell or sort of like an escalator. But yeah, I think it was like maybe a greatest hits.
Okay.
But like, yeah.
But did they have anything at the house or in the car that...
My dad would have like tapes and things of different things. The Beatles one is the only one that like really concrete that I remember sharing, but they listened to all types of music, and we listened to the radio a lot too as well. Cool. Yeah.
So my dad had this little briefcase full of 8 tracks in his van, and it was like a lot of John Denver and Oak Ridge Boys, and not a ton of variety in there. My mom had this stack of vinyl about this big. There was like 5 records in it, and mostly riding around with her was AM radio. But those are like the two sources feeding my universe of music.
Yeah.
And fast forward to today, I could draw an outline with bullet points and of what my tastes are. So you shared a list with me. I don't want to get to that just yet, but here's the stuff that you were hearing with mom and dad.
Yeah.
Over here's the list that you shared with me. What I'm interested in is when you first step outside of that universe of music that mom and dad have provided.
Yep.
Is there an album that stands out to you where you go, wow, and it was sort of that opening the door to all else that's out there? Does anything stand out like a first
when
buy?
when I was in high school, I remember there was a few different records. So I think it was my 14th birthday. I was given Green Day Dookie, and I was given the Weezer Blue album.
Yeah.
And then after that, I kind of became, a bigger music fan and buyer. I think I remember the first records that I bought. I remember going to Walmart and buying Boyz II Men 2.
Okay.
And Oasis, What Story Morning Glory. So the second one, but was like really the first American Oasis record. And then, what was the third one? I think I don't remember for sure. I ended up getting like All for One. So I like these weird sort of things. Like I was always a big, I grew up doing vocals and stuff and singing. So I loved vocal groups like Boyz II Men. So I was really into R&B. And then I also loved like rock and roll stuff like Oasis, and then more poppy rock with Weezer and and Green Day. So it all kind of was like in that sort of weird thing, and then Beatles included. Yeah.
First or early concert memory?
What was the first concert that I went to? I don't remember too many concerts as a kid. I think I remember seeing like I don't know why I can't think of that. I want to say maybe like I remember seeing Guster and stuff.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
When I was younger, and I was a huge fan of them, and I thought they were really great. And then I started to go see more live shows. I've seen like Tenacious D, The Strokes, and all kinds of different bands. But as far as the first show, geez, that's a great question. I don't know if I can remember.
Fair.
What about you?
Alice in Chains on Facelift tour.
Okay.
Opening up for Van Halen. Sandstone.
I do know what. Was it Sandstone? Was the outdoor arena, right?
Yeah.
Ben,
I mean, Sandstone and Bonner Springs, and then
I think it was high school was the earliest one that I remember. Ben Folds 5 Reinhold Messner tour.
Reinhold Messner.
Yeah, it was like the last record before the other guys left and Ben went solo.
Okay.
It's a great record. It's really good, but it was. I remember that being a big deal. Yeah.
So this self-taught guitar and piano stuff launches around 22.
When I was 22, yeah. I wanted to. When I was like, I think I started dipping my toe when I was like a senior in high school.
Okay.
And I tried to get people to write songs because I couldn't play guitar yet. So I was like, hey, let's do this. And I would like write lyrics at home and like try to come up with melodies, but I didn't know how to play. And then my parents gave me a guitar, I think when I was like 17, and it just sort of sat there. I think I was a little intimidated with it for a while. And then I started playing with writing songs around like 2021, but I wasn't playing guitar. I was working with another guitarist, and it was like frustrating for me to have to communicate my musical ideas when I couldn't play. And really, I didn't have any business doing it because I couldn't articulate myself. I got frustrated, and
there's that vision.
Yeah, and that ended up, okay, now I've got to learn guitar, so I don't rely on anybody else to like make my songs for me.
So guitar at 17, self-teaching begins around 22, but you said...
I think I learned piano around 24.
Okay.
Yeah.
But there was vocals and singing stuff prior to that.
Yeah, I was a creative writing kid, and I'd always written, and I was actually more into like writing comedy stuff, and did a little bit of poetry, but I loved performing comedy and sketches with friends. But yeah, as far as like playing, I didn't have any idea of how to play until I was like 22 or something.
But somewhere,
like
at some point, you're there. I gotta believe there's like I think music is gonna be my jam.
There was a point in high school when I think, especially when I was a senior, it was like 4 hours of music every single day. So like, it was great because I could also fuck off a lot because I'd learn my part really quick, and then like make jokes the whole time or make up funny movements to the songs and interpret the lyrics. But I'd always found really great people in playing music, and I love to sing. And I remember it kind of, it's the closest thing to like feel like church or spiritual experience, especially when you're sitting at a piano, because piano is different than a guitar because piano resonates through your whole body. When you're playing like a real piano, it just like, I feel like I sing better. I feel like all the music is just coursing through my body, and it just, it was just really special, and I just kind of got the bug. But I think for a while, since I was a kid, knowing that I like to write, knowing that I like to sing, I didn't know I was going to be a musician. I kind of consider myself a late bloomer in that regard. Sure. In a lot of different ways, I feel like I'm a late bloomer. But music especially, because there were kids that were, my friend, I went to high school with Brent Wendler and Brandon Bray, who were friends of mine, and they were doing that when they were young, in high school. And I always like looked up to them like, oh, that's cool. I wish I could do that, and, but I didn't have any idea. I didn't know that I could do it. I think for a long time, I just felt sort of insecure, or like maybe that wasn't my path. And then I was like, I love this too much. I had too much of a internal sort of calling for it.
You fuck around with Jenny Lewis at all?
Yeah, I love Jenny Lewis.
I think she has a tune. I love Jenny Lewis.
Yeah, she's amazing.
I think she has a tune called Late Bloomer, which...
Oh, really?
I love the idea of that, and, happens for a lot of folks in a lot of different ways, or happens in a bunch of different ways for one person.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's a cool term and a great song title, and I feel like the story that's being told in that song is also super dope. But I mean,
she's an incredible songwriter, great storyteller. Yeah.
So You mentioned writing,
Yeah.
a number of times.
Yeah.
English major, won an award, where I was offered a scholarship. Have you? I know you've done poetry and lyrics. Have you ever messed around with any kind of long form, like written a story or some fiction or?
I used to write short stories
Okay.
and things of that nature, and I was writing like sketch comedy and stuff
Okay,
with my
right,
friends
right.
in high school, and I wanted to do more of that in college. I always thought I was going to be like a comedian. Like my first dream was to be on Saturday Night Live,
Okay.
and I always thought that's, I loved SNL and, Hans and Franz and all the like the
Listen to me now and believe me later.
Yeah, that 88 to 94 cast was great and just so influential on me. And I was like, oh, that's what I want to do. But as I got into college, I was like, oh, too many funny people around me, and I was taking English classes, a writing class, but I was like, something about music ended up calling me that way. So, yeah.
When you would write, were you pen and paper? Were you on a device?
A lot of times pen and paper.
Okay.
I never really transitioned well to like the whole typing on a keyboard and stuff like that. I now do everything in my notes app or record like voice memos and stuff for like quick ideas. So typing on my phone a lot, but before really the iPhone, I don't think I spent a lot of time. It was more of a chore to type out my lyrics or anything like that. Yeah, I love the pen and paper, and I love seeing my own lines on the paper.
Yeah.
I love the idea that like everybody's handwriting kind of looks different. They have like their own style, and if you ask everybody to draw Mickey Mouse, everybody's going to have a different interpretation of such a...
So if you happen to be, for whatever reason, maybe you're jotting down a lyric idea or something, but you've got pen and paper in your hand, do you ever feel a callback or a curiosity that says, hey, maybe it's time to rekindle get the old writing chops out and
To just write things outside of music?
Yeah. Or is that that was the thing of the past?
Yeah. Actually, I mean, I've been like kind of mulling over. I always write down like jokes.
Okay.
Like I'll come up with random jokes because eventually, like, it is a goal of mine to be able to do stand up that I haven't done before because I've always like sort of psyched myself. But like we were talking about, I have so much reverence for other artists, especially coming into a space that I've never, I feel like an outsider, I'm a musician. I even feel like an outsider in the music community, but like, it always felt different to like sort of try to write those things. And they were always like private things and like coming up with song titles that were like play on words and double entendres and jokes and stuff that always entertained me. But lately I've been writing, the beginning ideas of like a book that eventually I would like to do. Maybe that's something that I'll do over the next couple of years.
Fan that flame.
I don't know if how much discipline I have, because to actually write like more of a novel situation is a lot more intention focused than it's easy for me to write my songs because they're a couple minutes long. They're a minute 30,
right, yeah.
And I have ADHD. So to keep me on that one subject, but I've written long enough where I feel like that would be something that I would love to grow in as I age, to become like an author, and also to help more people that are like me, help younger artists to develop. So yeah, hopefully eventually cool. I can actually put that to work and actually become a book author. But and I'd love to release some poetry and lyrics someday,
cool.
Just as a book. But yeah, I have a couple ideas,
nice.
But never enough time in the day, is there?
I know. It's so annoying. Well, I do appreciate you keeping up correspondence with me and coming all the way over and
Thank
sitting
you
with
for
me,
having me,
sharing a list.
Yeah.
So it's a short one. It's only two.
Yeah.
And we go back to 1965 to kick it off with Bob Dylan's Bringing It All Back Home, which is 5 of 40 for him, 11 tracks, 47 minutes. the iconic singer-songwriter out of Duluth, Minnesota. Very few Bob Dylan records have made lists. Very few. And as a long-time Bob fan, I'm like, strangely, that never really occurred to me until getting ready for this.
Really?
I've definitely been excited. Like, Time Out of Mind has made a list.
Blonde on Blonde, maybe?
No, it's
other people's lists that have come
yes.
in. Yeah.
Just not that long ago, his late 80s all covers, World Gone Wrong, is that the one?
Okay.
Has made a list. I'm always excited when a Bob record makes a list because so few have. I think when we were messaging, you mentioned something along the lines of growing up a Bob fan.
Yeah.
So what is it about this one that spoke to you?
I feel like that he went through this period when, obviously a lot of the early records are great. Another Side of Bob Dylan is got some amazing songs on it too, but I feel like he just like kind of comes into his voice on this one, and as a singer and as a songwriter. And I love that it's daring in the sense that they're trying to the machine itself is trying to cast him as a protest singer, and he started to feel caged in by that classification because he's like, I'm a songwriter, I'm an artist, I'm not your puppet to sing your songs because you want me to sing the songs. And I have a little bit of that in me too, that's like, you want me to do that, I'm gonna go over there, if you want me to be here, I'm gonna go over there.
Yeah.
And I love that about him, and I think that's maybe there's just a kinship there. But I love how he's like, I'm not going to do what you want me to do. I'm going to give you what you're not expecting. From an artistic perspective, that's admirable because he could have just continued to do the thing that everybody was enjoying. But to get him in the door with the first half side is all acoustic, and then, drop the more electric tracks, which was, sacrilegious to the folk community, the Newport Folk Festival.
Still, you don't have to look hard to see online. There's still folks that are, they're still mad about it.
It's
like,
crazy.
That reminds me of when Dylan went electric. What?
Yeah.
In the 70s?
Yeah.
Are you okay?
It's like he's playing an electric guitar. You're like comparing him to a guy that sold out Christ.
Yeah, exactly.
It's amazing.
Okay, so there's a final exam a week from today.
Okay.
And the whole course has been about the catalog, all 40 of his records. Do you feel confident going into that exam? Do you know the whole catalog well, or do you have?
I don't know his later years.
Okay.
Honestly, I think that I'm pretty good through like mid to late 70s.
Okay.
I'm like early 60s.
You
to
checked
mid
out
to
at
late
the Jesus
70s.
records?
I did start to check out
There's
the
some good
Jesus.
stuff in there.
I've heard, yeah.
I asked you that because the two newspaper buddies that we did the blog thing with, in like September, one of them texted and said, all right, let's all make a Dylan playlist, max of 24 songs. We'll all share it with one another once we're done, and then eventually somebody will make a big with all of them.
Cool.
I knew those two were going to keep newer stuff at arm's length.
Yeah.
I had actually, once they checked out, I kept writing, and at one point I did a big project where in chapters ranked all the Dylan albums. So I was real familiar with everything through 2000, 2001. So I started like 2002 to current.
Okay.
Because I knew they were going to neglect. And then I went back to the 60s stuff and brought myself, closed the gap.
Yeah.
And then I finished. I think my initial list had like 32, I don't know, somewhere in the low 30s. And I was like, I got to make cuts. I got to get this down to 24.
Yeah.
So it was like killing children and pets. Fucking cry. And so then I finished.
Yeah.
The crickets for the longest time. I was just waiting and waiting. I didn't want to make it not, or change the
right.
So I woke up on Christmas morning and the guy who had the idea had dropped his, and I was like, So I dropped mine, and then the third dude dropped his. And it was really fun.
That is cool.
But I am like stupidly proud of the one that I put together because I worked so hard on it.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
made sure that all of the avenues were.
You like took things from each era,
and it's not going to be. I'm not. Yeah, it's got a. It's like if somebody gives me a record I've never heard of or never listened to, and I'm listening to it, I don't want to make notes just for the sake of having a note. I want something to speak to me to go, oh, I like what happened in the track 6 of the blah, blah, blah. But it was just really fun. It was really fun.
That sounds like a good fun thing to do with other Dylan nerds.
Yeah, yes.
Geek out on.
Highly recommend.
Because when Nick was in the band, I mean, that's what we would talk about. He was a big lyrics English guy too, so just constantly chatting ideas, some of the best lines. And
the one that I always come back to when talking about this project, I really loved the record from like 99, 2000 called Time Out of Mind.
That was the one that I came back. So I took the break through the 80s and the 90s, and then Time Out of Mind was like, oh yeah, Bob is still alive.
Yes,
I should maybe listen to him.
A gal that worked at the record store that I would frequent in college, she's like, dude, Daniel Lanois produced. It's up for a Grammy. You can't not. I was like, all right, fine, I'll take it. And I loved it. So I'm working my way through, and I get to the name of the record's escaping me, but it's the first one he did with Daniel Lanois, and it's like immediately I'm like, what the fuck is this? Oh Mercy, I believe it's called.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why is this? What's going on? I'm like, oh, Daniel Lanois. But there's a tune on that record, and it made my list, and it's called "The Man in the Long Black Coat." And it starts off like he kind of pots in with cricket nighttime sounds, and then all of a sudden you just get this, and then he starts telling the story, and one of my favorite lines is, people don't live or die, people just float. She went with a man in a long black coat. It's the coolest fucking song of all time. I'm like, here's my list. It's just this song 24 times. But love Bob.
He's great.
And moving forward 1 year to 1966, in 6th grade, Mark Patterson dubbed for me 2 Beatles compilations, 66 to 68 and 68 to 70, something like that. And I mean, I just over and over and over and over again until like it's just in there, hardwired. Nothing can undo it.
Yeah.
And I went through life for decades, with no real awareness of the discography. And at some point, it's like, somebody says something about Rubber Soul or Abbey Road or, The White. I'm like, what is all this shit?
Yeah.
So it's still weird to me to listen. So like Abbey Road, The White Album's made a list or two. Abbey Road's made the most.
Interesting.
But hardly any other Beatles records have made other people's lists.
Really?
So I've been looking forward to Rubber Soul and Revolver making a list.
Those are my faves.
And so here we are.
Well, I'm glad, because I kind of felt like this is kind of basic bitch shit. But like it was true. I said like I wanted to bring something that was like real and formative in my youth versus like naming off things that make me sound cool. Right. And you know what I mean? Like this is the real stuff that really influenced me. So I'm a little surprised that these aren't on the list. So happy to fill those in for you.
Yeah, so Revolver, 7 of 14 tracks, 35 minutes. Fab Four out of Liverpool, mostly Abbey Road has made lists. Revolver scratches what sort of itch for you?
It's got like every type of song you could want on it.
Okay.
Well, the thing that like really stands out for me with Revolver is, I mean, if you look from Rubber Soul, the songs started to get a little bit more deep. I mean, maybe like Help, it was starting to get there, but it was still very commercial. They'd like completely abandoned that by Revolver. They really had a good idea of, kind of who they were and comfort in themselves. And as, Lennon, McCartney, and also George starting to find his legs underneath them. But like, I love the the genre hopping was that was the thing that like I was like, oh shit, these are the kind of records that I want to make, because having ADHD, I want to write. And if you listen to jingle songs, it's like there's a country song and there's a folk song and there's a hard rocker and then there's a weird one, a ballad. I love the idea of giving a little bit of something to everyone, and not with the intent of trying to appeal to everyone, but like the world itself is full of all shapes, sizes, creed, and color.
Right.
And I really felt like Revolver sort of feels like a complete work of art in the sense that it's not just one sound. There's all these little pocket planets within a universe, and it feels like the universe is a record, but each one of these songs is their own little planet.
Yeah. I've been meaning to say, I keep forgetting, shouts out to Brad Smith of Eggs on Mars and Enigmatic Brunch Records, which washed up.
Yeah, washed up, and
right?
our record coming out in August 28th, Against All Ops,
Brad did an episode with me some time ago, and it was an absolute delight. He had a Beach Boys record. The Beach Boys are such a trip to me because...
I could have put Beach Boys on this list.
I mean, same sort of deal. It's like all those...
Which Beach Boys record did he pick?
God damn it, I knew you were going to say that. He specifically did not choose Pet Sounds, but it's like... right after. It's Pet Sounds adjacent. Family something is in the name. But
I think I know which one you're talking about. Yeah.
All those years riding around in my mom's car with AM radio, I had really just the surfy California Beach Boys on the brain, and for years and years and years didn't know anything else until all of a sudden, people start Friends. Mm-hmm. It's called Friends. Is the
Friends.
One. Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, I thought that Brad was super cool. He connected me with Joel Stratton.
Yeah.
Joel versus Joel, who came and did episode 196 with me. Also a really delightful dude. I just love the idea behind Enigmatic Brunch Records.
Yeah.
And, I love when somebody wants to do something that's going to be fun, but it's also going to help others accomplish a thing.
And I think there's a little bit of something that there's a through line to all of our influences that kind of shows up in all the artists that are on Enigmatic Brunch. But Brad is a sweetheart, a great guy, and he's helping to foster community by pulling some of his friends together and songwriters he respects, and Joel versus Joel is great. Wills Van Dorn, who was in our group, is putting out same time. He's putting out a record, I guess later in July.
Yeah, it's gonna be the 4th.
Yeah, 3 weeks out. Yeah, so he's putting that out. So it's Wills is still a part of the family and a different way. And I admire every one of those guys. They all do things well and different than me, where it's interesting and I can still learn from what they're doing.
Yeah.
So it's a really cool community, and Brad has great taste in music and people.
Nice.
So we're fortunate to have him.
Yeah. This was a fun duo of albums to revisit. Do you want to throw any shouts out to your honorable mention of sorts, or do you want to just move?
Probably in the last few years when we were making Washed Up, Nick got the whole group sort of into Guided by Voices.
Okay.
And Alien Waves and Game Pricks and stuff like that. That was a big song for the group, and I know it impacted me, and I know it impacted Wills individually, and we used to just sit around and listen to music together. So I think that that's a special record. I also love, Beach Boys' Pet Sounds
Okay.
and like Wild Honey and
Nice.
stuff like that. Those are also great records. Kinks Village Green Preservation Society, Nilsson Schmilson.
I really need to get more familiar with the Kinks catalog. It's a rabbit hole that's like right there. And
I'll send you a couple of things
Okay,
that you
okay.
could start with.
Yeah. Well, thank you again for sharing.
Thank you for having me.
I've got a quick series of goofy questions to
Please.
hit you with, and then we'll.
I was hoping you would ask me goofy questions.
All right.
Gosh.
So the first is
Yep.
you're given the ability to have a cup of coffee with anyone of your choosing, dead or alive. Who's it going to be and why?
I at one time I would probably say like John Lennon, because I feel like I like people that are smart and funny, but also a little caustic and like.
What does caustic mean?
Just a little bit biting, and I like somebody with a little edge on it, and
Fair.
Somebody that's real, is not going to pull their punches. So I'd maybe say like John Lennon, but like as I've kind of grown up, like I really admire Kobe Bryant and his work ethic and his mindset,
Cool.
and who he was as a father, and how seriously he took his craft.
Yeah.
And he was he seemed like a really, really cool, smart guy.
For sure.
And it's sad that he died and the way he did,
Yeah,
especially as young as he was. I mean, but both those guys were pretty young when they left. So, I mean, I'd probably say one of those guys, because I think that they'd be smart, and I would get some advice and something from it.
Cool. Do you consume any stand-up comedy?
I do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anthony Jeselnik?
Yeah.
Are you a fan?
I do like Anthony Jeselnik. Yeah. He's a great smartass. He's a smart ass.
It's just to like, here are all these people that for generations and decades have done the craft. I'm gonna turn every bit on its head, and it's always fresh. It's always catchy, and I'm always like, oh my god. He's got a lot of great bits, but there's one, his second or third special. I think the opening bit to the hour is talking about how one of his friend's wives hates him.
Okay.
Have you heard this bit?
Uh-uh.
He's like, my friend's wife really hates me. And she called me up the other day and said, Anthony, I'm so upset with you. My husband tells me that you called me a bad word, and I don't want you hanging out with him anymore. And he goes, uh-oh, bad word. Was it the B word? And she goes, no, Anthony, he didn't say you called me a bitch. And he goes, uh-oh, was it the C word? And she goes, no, Anthony, he didn't say that you called me a cunt. And he goes, well, then he didn't hear it from me. He's just clever.
Yeah.
So if we can pretend or imagine that we all have a personal and a professional bucket list.
Okay.
You're given all of the necessary resources to go knock out number one on each of those two lists. What are those number ones?
On personal and professional?
Mm-hmm.
Jeez. I have countless things that I'd love to accomplish professionally. But we talked about when I was a kid, I always wanted to be on Saturday Night Live.
Yeah.
I would love to play on Saturday Night Live.
Ooh.
I would love to be able to, if the opportunity was there. I mean, that would be like a childhood goal.
Cool.
Grammy, I don't even know what that means anymore. I think I wanted to win one when I was young.
Right.
But it's all about selling records, and with the machine behind you. If I had the machine behind, would it be great to win a Grammy? Sure. But I would say the number one probably be perform on Saturday Night Live.
Cool.
As far as personally, just as a trans woman, I have goals as far as myself personally that I would like to accomplish with being able to have certain surgeries to be able to be further in my transition. Those are probably.
Those are all free, right? They don't cost you any money.
Oh, no money at all. This country's great. They'll just like let you walk right in and do surgeries for you for free.
I can't get anywhere in the world because I've just all the free healthcare's in the way.
You don't need insurance or anything.
Door.
Yeah, the best care.
Okay, this is not. We're not interested in changing who you became, or this, or we're not. This is not covered in regret, but you're given the ability to visit your past self at any age of your choosing.
Okay.
What age are you choosing, and what are you saying?
Wow, I would probably choose myself. I'd probably tell myself at like 17. I'd probably choose myself when I was like a senior in high school. And I'd probably tell myself there was a lot of years where I spent worried about like being a recovering people pleaser. And now I'm on the other side of it where I think people probably think I'm too into my own ass now. But like that's a response from, being let down from people and wanting people to make them happy and realizing younger me was scared to be who I was and to just say like, it's going to be okay. And also like, don't doubt yourself so much, because a lot of my youth was just spending like worried about what people thought of me and if they liked me. And now in my 40s, like I don't give a shit. Like I want people to like me, sure,
Of course,
but it's not going to ruin my day if someone doesn't want to like me. Okay,
right,
fine. But like that used to be debilitating when I was like that age. I was worried. I wanted people to love me. And not everybody's going to love you. You need to love yourself.
Right.
And I think there was many years that, I didn't have those tools to be able to like figure that out. So I think just to say, hey, and also start learning guitar now.
Right.
Like this is something that you're going to be good at. All you have to do is believe that you can do it. And all you have to do is be okay with being different, not worry about other people. Once I sort of steered into the skid, the car, you're scared to do that, but the car writes itself, and it feels like when I transitioned and when I 2 days before my 34th birthday, I was 33 years old because I like the transfiguration of, sort of element. But like, I loved I wanted to, make sure that, I was tired of living a lie. It felt like I was wearing a wetsuit and pretending to be somebody for everybody else. And it's just like, geez, the amount of time that I wasted. I could have done it when I was younger, before like my voice changed and everything like that. But maybe it was what it needed to be. Maybe my voice is kind of what makes me different. And, you can't go back and change things. But I wish that younger me would have had those tools and that self-belief and confidence that I have in myself now that took many years of like falling on my face. And,
Yeah. I love that. That's a great answer. You're aware that at some point, not too terribly long ago, there was a television program called Fear Factor.
Yeah.
So you win the prize by tolerating the gross channel, whatever.
Yeah.
This is not that.
Okay.
This is real life.
Yeah.
You're in a situation where
Okay.
you've got to get from point A to point B, and right there in the middle is your biggest source of fear or anxiety or creeps, whatever it is.
Yeah.
If you got to get past it, what is it?
My biggest source of anxiety. Well, I'm probably going to lie to the audience because I don't want anybody to ever use that against me if I were to reveal it. No, I don't know. I mean, a lot of my biggest fear was not being true to myself. And I got through that by transitioning. That was the thing that scared me the most because I was afraid that
Not being true to yourself
Yeah.
scared you the most?
being afraid that I was never going to get on the other side of it. Like, because
okay.
before I transitioned, I was like scared to be who I was. And I think at some point I just got tired and I started realizing that I'm living for other people and not for myself. that was the big debilitating thing for a long time, because I've always prided myself as being an honest, very authentic person. It was the one part of myself that I was scared and ashamed to show people. And like owning that was like a big thing. As far as like the things that scared me now, what scares me now is not living up to my potential.
Wild difference.
Yeah.
Between the
Yeah, now it's like
over here, it's like the self is not visible,
actualized. Yeah,
it is over here, but is it going to be good enough?
Right.
For you, not for...
Right. I still feel like I'm at the bottom, like whether it be my music career, where I'm at in my transition. And although I've looked back on my life, especially the last 10 years, the decade that I've done this, I have created so much music that I'm proud of. I have come a long way as who I am as a person, but I still always have that mindset that I'm at the bottom of a hill. And there's a bunch of guards that are guarding the top of the hill. And I don't know if that's something that I do to psych myself up so I push even harder to try to run through my goals, or if it's some remnants left behind from not feeling self-actualized when I was younger. But like, I have so many goals yet to accomplish. And I think that, fearing that I'm not going to be able to, I'm just really hard on myself. I have a lot of expectations for myself. So I think not being able to accomplish everything that I want to accomplish kind of scares me.
Right on.
Yeah.
I mean, that's powerful. Last but not least, please complete this for me.
Okay.
The world would immediately become a better place in which to live if only
everyone loved themselves.
Fantastic. Great answers across the board.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. Joss Nix 26 and at the Creepy Jingles on Instagram.
Yep.
Bandcamp for the Creepy Jingles has the 4 singles plus the recently released full length Washed Up, and then
you can hear some of our older music from the High Dive Bandcamp as well, and you can hear the Jocelyn Nixon Bandcamp has a couple of my solo songs.
High Dive is familiar to me.
Yeah, High Dive put out like...
Is that a label?
Yeah, they put out early on the day. They put out like ACBs.
I feel like
the
I
Shy
reached
Boys
out to
before they
them.
were in Polyvinyl. Then they put out like Coney and the Full Bloods and our first album. And yeah,
I feel like I reached out to them and said, "Do you want to do this?" And they said, "Yeah, is virtual an option?" And I said, "No," and they're like, "No."
Okay.
Like, I think
yeah, I don't know. Can
anyway,
speak to that.
you know, a lot of times folks just don't reply, which is
Really?
fine. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I've had a number of people show up and say, "Initially, I thought you were spam," and I was like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah.
So I think that there's some folks that don't ever see it, and then there's some folks that are like, "No," but when folks seldom do they just come out and say no, and usually if they do say that, there's an interesting element to it, and whatever, it's not for everybody.
If I come back on the podcast, can I do it from the toilet? Just give me the headphones with the long cable, and I'll go. I mean, I can come over, but I'm just gonna sit in your bathroom.
There's going to be a bathroom attendant in there, so
As long as I get to tip him.
Is there? Do you have any other plugs besides the Bandcamps and the Instagrams?
Just our new album Washed Up came out on May 22nd. Please listen to that and be on the lookout for our 6-song record coming out, Against All Ops, coming out on August 28th. And other than that, I just hope people treat each other well.
Nice.
Have fun. It's a short life, let's not take it too seriously.
Yeah. Is there anything that you would hope that we would cover that we did not?
I was hoping we'd get into my drug years. No.
Okay.
Just
I
kidding.
was like, if you want to have at it,
I throw a whiskey bottle at the wall.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay. So, Jocelyn Olivia Nixon, I deprived you of a syllable in your last name when we started.
That's okay.
Apologies. Appreciate the time. Very nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, hope to talk to you soon.
Thank you.